Evening, legends. How's everybody? Let me know if you can see my screen. What chart can you see? And if you can hear me okay. A lot of bloodshed, but hopefully we can shed some light. Okay. And break it down properly. What's going on? What do we do next? Can everybody see a Bitcoin chart? Okay, making sure. So probably be a bit longer than normal. Okay, I want to break this down properly. Put some reasoning behind it. Okay, not hopium, but proper logical breakdown. What my plans are, what I'm expecting. Okay, take it from there. And any questions, just leave it till the end. Okay, let me get through what I need to get through, and I'll hold it open for an extra this time round. Okay, with what's going on. Okay. Hopefully no one's panicking. If you're panicking, you're a pussy. But yeah, so let's get the necessities out of the way with, and then we begin, okay? So, apologies, I was supposed to do it yesterday, but market was just, I've been up non-stop. I was just knackered, okay? But scheduled it for today, so it gives me more to work with. But yeah, so welcome to the weekly Bitcoin update video. Before we start, I just want to say thanks to our sponsor, PrimeXBT, for making this happen. You can show them some appreciation by signing up to their platform using the link in the description. If you use the code TraderSZ, you'll also get a 50% deposit bonus. Finally, just a reminder that nothing discussed today constitutes financial advice, and you should always do your own research before doing any kind of investing or trading. Check Prime out, they help with the streams, okay? Decent broker, okay? Exchange broker. So if you put in like 1 Bitcoin, you get half a Bitcoin extra to trade with. Okay, you can't withdraw that extra bonus. So when you sign up, after you sign up, then put the code in, then deposit. Okay, but yeah, so it would help the streams. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So what's going on? So what I'll do is I'm gonna go over last week's stuff, last week's plans, and how those exact same levels. I haven't touched anything from last week. Okay, hopefully you watched last week. It went nicely to plan. And then how do we use those levels? The same levels will be used. As you can see, I haven't touched it from last week, but the same levels, okay, are being used on the underside today. And how can we use them going forward, okay? So briefly go over. It's gonna be brief, okay? It's not gonna spend too much time on this. I want to spend more time on what's happening and what's going next. But we were trading around here last time, and I said, okay, there's 2 scenarios. We drew out our range. We explained the importance of the mid-range. And what did I do? That capped the downside, okay? And so once we get deviation back above the fib extension level and this, then that's a long. So that was a range bound deviation. That's your long. I even tweeted about it at the time when it was down here. First target range high. Because we're in a bullish condition, in a bullish market, you tend to hold it a bit more. If you took profit, I mentioned the breakout play, which was here. When perfect to plan, a target 37065, which was the 200% extension. It then carried on further. I then went on to say, whenever we get the high or low for the week, okay, or whenever we get the new leg in, we can then use the fib extension. It's all in last week's video. Get the high to the low for extended targets, near enough the 200% extension. So we've got this objective, then that objective. So it went nearly perfectly to plan, okay? From there towards there, from there, target, target, target. So even though it's going to be, you're watching in hindsight, if you watch it now, it's good for learning purposes anyway, okay? So make sure you watch that. Okay, so what do we do now going forward, okay? Let's break this down properly in more detail, okay? I'll also be covering the dollar. Do I use the dollar? Had a few questions on that, okay? So if we look, okay, bigger picture, what's happening? When you get fast moves in the market, you're going to get fast drops. The drops are relative to the rallies. Don't forget that. When you get a small move, you're going to get a small drop. If you're focusing on the figures or percentage moves of this and forgetting what we've had, then you're an idiot, okay? You don't understand the market, you don't understand context, and it's just more fear driven. You're just hyping up shit, okay? No one's talking about a 10 pip move up, 20 pip move down, because the numbers you can work with, the numbers you can comprehend. If Bitcoin's doing a rally from here to there, what is this? That's a blip in the bigger picture, isn't it? Let's go back historically. Is it not the same thing happening? Okay, big rally. Oh look, panic. If you're looking from a bigger picture point of view, it's the exact same thing. So if you're gonna get a 100% rally, or 200% rally, 300% rally, or 20 30% drops, not, you know, relative. So you gotta think of that perspective, okay? If you, obviously if you're over leveraged, then you're gonna be panicking. Then probably you're probably better off just holding long term, okay? You're not cut out to be trading. That's the fact. The sooner you accept that, okay, the better it is. Learn properly, and if you do go into leverage trading, do small size until you're ready. And when you become ready, you'll know yourself, okay? Then you can increase the size. But don't forget the bigger picture. It's relative. When was the last time we had a down move, a down candle? 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row. You're gonna get a flip and pull back, aren't you? Okay? Anything down to here is fine. Anything down to there is relative, but you're looking at a bigger picture. You're looking at the numbers from there towards there. That's when you're panicking. Okay? Is that making sense? Fast move up, you get a fast move down. Okay? You're gonna get big increases. This is drop is relative to the big drop we've had, is it not? Okay? So in Euro USD, if I get a move from, you know, from here to there and I mark out halfway point, that's relative. Okay? So I wanted to make that point clear, okay, before we start. And if we look at the bigger picture of things, okay, this drop here, percentage-wise, was worse. Okay? I mean, let's start breaking down where I think the market may be capped by. Okay, so I mean, if I take the extreme low from this low to that high, we're not even halfway point there. This move down to here would be acceptable. Okay, nothing wrong with that. I would accept that. Ideally, we come down to here. Okay, forget the numbers. Look at an SR point of view. Ignore the numbers here. Resistance. Think of terms of pure SR. Okay, so like I said, let me finish. Then you can ask your questions. Okay. What region is the accent? Midlands, UK, England. Okay, so we got resistance there. If this was any other chart, you'd be saying breakout. This, would you not? So this is fine here, not from Birmingham. So this area will be fine. Okay, so this would be ideal scenario would be down here to look to buybacks, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out scenarios in case we don't come down that far, okay? So, just want to make that point clear, okay? And it's not even halfway point. I reckon this region would be a nice area to look for, you know, spot longs, okay, to reload back in, okay? So, I wanted to clear that point up. So, what do we do going forward? So, I'm not going to really change anything, okay, going forward. I'm going to keep the same levels. Now, I want to talk a bit about the dollar index here, okay? There's a question that was before. Do I look at what's it called, dollar index on trading? I mean, I think as Bitcoin matures, the question is, does it trade more like traditional markets? Okay, you know, as it matures. So if we look, okay, I mean, I don't look at correlations that much. There's context to when you can use it, but if it's there, I'm gonna look at it, and if it is behaving that way, then I am gonna use it. Okay, so let's add the Bitcoin to this, okay? And then with that, I'll start explaining the plans, okay? So let's add this to it. So I hope I'm doing it right. Yep. Okay, so if we look, I mean, I'm just using a basic one, okay? But we can't really ignore that it sort of is inverse correlation as the market's matured more, okay? There. Where dollar index is at, I'll go over that. That probably makes it easier to see. When this starts to bottom out of a key level, is this. I personally think dollar goes lower. Okay, we are in for a pullback. Okay, so and I'll break down the dollar in a minute. So I'm thinking as long as it's there, I'm gonna be looking at it. Okay, that does not mean it has to correlate completely. Bitcoin it could have other fundamental drivers behind it, but if it's there and it's working, I'm gonna use it. The moment it stops working, I won't use it. That's how I use it. Okay, so it's a brief overview, and it's there in your eye. It's there. You can see it, that inverse correlation is there for now. Okay, so while that's there, a possibility wise, possible why Bitcoin is still weak, could we potentially time a bottom using the dollar index? Okay, it's like the video, please. Let's get it to 100. It helps with the stream, helps with the YouTube algos. Okay, there's no excuse why we can't get it to 100. So is that making sense so far? So one way of possibly timing, I'll look at Bitcoin on its own as well, but one way of possibly timing it is if the dollar tops out, then we could possibly be looking for the bottom. And where the dollar Bitcoin was out, it's massive rally. Okay, longing till we're wrong. Okay, then possibly that could be in place. So let's break down the dollar a bit as well, and then go back to our plans with Bitcoin. Okay, so brief breakdown of the dollar index. It's not the dollar, it's the dollar index, by the way. Before somebody starts nitpicking, this is not the dollar. Shut up. So where we are, obviously dollar index, it's been relentless drop. You're gonna get a bounce, just like Bitcoin has been relentless rally. You're gonna get it. Okay, so it's important to step back a bit, look at the bigger picture. What is happening in the bigger picture of things? Okay, don't ignore that. So if you look at this was inevitable. Okay, this is a previous consolidation where we had a big rally. You're gonna get that. Okay, now if I break down the dollar index, I believe it does go lower. So a quick breakdown of the dollar index. I mean, look at the yearly. I have done a dollar index breakdown before. It's on my YouTube channel. But you'll have to look at it again. It's there somewhere. But let's do a quick breakdown. Look at the yearly. Okay, if we look, we got this yearly level here. That's capping the market, and that is an important level for me. So let's do that in a different color. There. So when we bounce from here, that was the level capping. Resistance. Break above it. Resistance and support. You can see the body's closed there. Close below it. So any pullback to there, I'll be looking for selling opportunities, wouldn't I? Where would the next logical target be? Towards here. And then I'll see what happens here. Is this going to be like this, or is it going to be like this? I'm not bothered till then. I'm not thinking that. All I need to worry about is this right now. If we reclaim this, then I'm wrong. We'll come to that when the time comes, okay? That does not mean I'm going to be using the dollar index solely for my Bitcoin trading, but it's a factor of confluence, is it not? Okay? So, while it's there, I will be using it. Okay, what others say, I make it work for me. If I'm making it work, nobody else can say otherwise. Okay? Fuck you. So, let's carry on. Let's break this down further and say, okay, at what point would I be wrong? So it's important to note, where are you wrong on the idea? Okay? So, if I look at this, that yearly level just so happens to be my range low, and I'm going to mark out a range high, which is here. So let's use this. Here. So what I will do is, if you look, let's treat this as our range low, as a support level, copy the market, deviation, go back above it, push the range high. Okay? Support, breakdown. Question is it going to do this? Okay? Based on the yearly chart, that yearly chart I would go with that more than the lower time frame. And fundamentally, I believe the dollar is going to go down as well. Whatever I pull back now, I'm seeing it as the wick of the candle. Okay? So having said that, let's mark out our yearly open. This happens to be the monthly open as well. Let's have that mapped out as well. So let's map this out. So that's the yearly. Bear with me, I know it's a Bitcoin breakdown, but context, okay? Breaking it all down. Hopefully it answers questions. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, then leave it alone. So we expect this based on the yearly to be trend continuation. So I'm expecting the range low act as resistance. I'm looking for a pullback there and then down. If the dollar index gets to there, I'll be looking at where Bitcoin is at the time, if it's still falling by then. Okay, like I said, it's clear that that correlation is still there. While it's working, I'm going to be using it. Okay, so this is the key that we'll be watching. Where am I wrong? Which is important, just as important as the entries. The exits are important as well. So if it gets back above this, if it reclaims this and gets back above that, then what's the previous behavior? It probably go towards the range high. That then is confirmed as a deviation. That would be a deviation, and then we probably go towards there. On this way, that we've got this low and then that low. Is that clear so far? Before I continue, I'm going slowly so everybody understands. Yep. Okay, so let's go down a bit deeper now. And you can see the consolidation here. Okay, so a couple of ways of playing it. It's not guaranteed the dollar index is going to go there. Bitcoin's at support right now. This is still resistance for the dollar index. Okay, so if I break this down further, at what point would I say, okay, I think it's done for the pullback, and this could be it. There's no reason why it has to. Okay, there's a plan I've got for that. So scenario one is, this is a consolidation. Could this bounce be done? Possibly. Okay, I'm not gonna ignore that. So let's break this down even more detail as to what would be a trend continuation play. In case we don't get that, we have to be prepared. You can't just sit there not doing nothing and just, oh, it's gone without me, it's not hit my level. It's not hit your level. You have to have a plan for a trend continuation play. Okay, you can't just have one plan. That's one key level. Now, the mid-range of here is capping this level here. Now, I'm not going to draw it exactly. I'm just going to eyeball it, okay? But you go with it. You get it, okay? So if I go there, it's about here, okay? Well, it's not drawn correctly. I've lined it up with an SR level, but it's more or less there. So, at what point would I say, okay, the dollar index is going to break out? This is at resistance, while Bitcoin, which I'll get into, is actually at support right now. Key support. So, if I go, if it breaks a clean break above here, just like here. So this was resistance, come back down, resistance. If this gets cleared, that's the next objective, okay? If that gets cleared, then that's the objective. And I think at that point, if that correlation is still there, and Bitcoin's breaking the key level, which I will mention when we finish with this, okay, it'll make sense when I talk about Bitcoin as well, and how we relate these levels together, then that would still say to me probably Bitcoin's got another leg lower. And at that point, if it starts breaking down, then I'll probably get ready to long-term buy spot or start looking for massive swing trades to new highs for Bitcoin. Is that clear? So that's the breakout play. And at that point, I'm expecting something like this. Okay, and from a so it's just basically retest of consolidation, a retest of the macro range level, yearly level there. Now if we get back below the yearly open, that's a wick for the yearly candle. In picture how the yearly candle is looking, and then that will be towards here. Now this is a shorter objective, could easily go towards here as well, I don't know, but that will be objective. We'll see what happens here because it's a massive level. Okay, is that clear? That's scenario one. Scenario two is, what if it continues down from here? At what point would I feel confident? Really and truly, it'll have to be below here. I mean, I could play a level to level play, possibly. Okay, and that would be, I mean, anything back to here is still support. I'd rather have a rally, a pullback, okay, into here than short support. But if I have to, a break below here would go towards here. Even at this point, this could be a possible swing failure. So from level to level there, if that then gets cleared, clear breakdown, past videos I've explained what a breaking mark structure is, you'll have to watch those. Then from there towards there, then at that point that would be the trending part of the move because it's a breakout of a key level. Okay, and at that point I think Bitcoin accelerates if that correlation is still there. There's a big if there. Okay, now it doesn't mean you 100% rely on this. This may not be okay, but I think as the market's maturing, it's acting like some of the FX majors, just more volatile. Okay, so those are the plans. Now let's go to Bitcoin, okay? What's going on here? So, what does it do here? I personally think we correct deeper. I hope I'm wrong, okay? But I'm going to be using the exact same plans as last time. So if I look at this right now, last time, what did we say? At that time, what was the range level? So this was, let me mark this out. This is previous all-time high, okay? Let's add this as well, because halfway through I'll probably get confused. So just a reminder for myself. What I said was the midpoint of a breakout of a key level is pivotal, important. So this was previous all-time high. When it broke out, consolidated, that was the low point. And at that point, that was the high. So if you look back, it's all there. And that's how I timed the bottom. And I then said, okay, I probably say that we get a deeper. So this two range. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me finish this first. From low to that high, bang on. That was the low point, right? That capped the downside. And I said anything come towards there is fine. Okay, as long as we don't make a clean break below here. then this is a pullback, isn't it? When the midpoint breaks, and then we spoke about the SR around it as well. This was the consolidation that pushed it above. We got a retest of that consolidation. Full send. Okay? Basic longs. The stuff I go over when it comes to level trade, that's just more refinement, okay? There's nothing wrong with smacking a bit here based on clear invalidation. At this point, everyone panicking. But if you watch the stream, you would have known that this was fine. This is the level that should cap the extreme downside. You understand? Clear? That same level holds even till now. So if I look now, where are we at with the midpoint now? Or do we have a new midpoint that can be used? So if I take this to that, here's a midpoint here, okay? But this is the main one, but the initial one for me is still here. And then obviously we spoke about the fib extensions, okay, from previous all-time high to the low formed. This was the 161.8 and 200%. That's all in the previous video. You have to go back to that. So for now, this is still capping it. Dollar index is at that key resistance. Now, I personally think the reason why I'm not comfortable with long going for massive longs here is because I think dollar index breaks out. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, that's fine. I'll play the trend continuation. So, based on invalidation, I could enter a trade. I'm wrong below here. This would be a long swing trade, okay? I'm wrong below, you know, here. That would be my invalidation, okay? Now, what if I wanted a tighter one? What if I'm in the position myself right now, thinking, so that'd be a valid long into key support, okay? Yeah, and there's no reason why we can't go back up towards here, or at least here, okay? What would I do? Say, okay, you know what? I'm in that situation where I'm thinking, what if this does pull back? And that would be perfectly fine. Okay, what do I do then? You can either play it. I'm personally going to play it level to level, okay? So I'm happy waiting out, maybe take an intraday trades, that's different. If we reclaim back above this level, the last week's breakout plan would be exactly the same for me, okay? So if this one scenario is, if it gets back above there, from there towards there, okay? That would be perfect value. Break him out, hold. So I don't want to see a deviation, okay? Just like here yesterday, when he broke above it, you would say, well, is that a reclaim? No, I wait for a structure break because of the context set. So if it breaks above here, hold, consolidation, then that would be there. So all I'm doing is dissecting this, where exactly I'm looking for it, at what level, what I need to see there, and target. Secondary play would be exact same thing again as here. This was acting as support previously, right? If I draw this out, so far that's acting, that 200% extension drawn from beforehand is acting as an SR level, isn't it? So you can see it. So if it reclaims this level, that's an SR level, that then becomes a deviation of this level, then that would be my play. From here, on this way, there we got this level, then that level, and then at that point, new highs probably, okay? So say this was the low. Now what I do is, take that high to this low, do the exact, whatever the low is at the time, I don't know what the low is, okay? Use the same rules I set for before, and then extended targets would then be these levels here. You can draw it neatly yourself, assuming whatever the low is, okay? Target, so this will be a separate trade, SR. Obviously, the initial play, I'm showing you how you can get on board. If you miss one, you got another opportunity. If you miss another, or you can think of it as compounding opportunities, each play or each plan I'm mapping out. Is that clear? And then that would be breakout play towards there. And now be careful here, okay, in case they do like a double top type. But you can play it level to level regardless. If it makes a clean break, holds, then that's your objective. That's your objective, then that's your objective. Is that making sense to everybody? Is that clear? So I'll map out the downside as well. We've got to be prepared for that in case it does go down. But so far, is that dead? I mean, usually it doesn't really matter. I mean, if I get what I'm seeing, probably. I mean, if I'm day trading, I mean, it depends. I mean, if I get a daily close above, so for example's sake, here, it depends. If you're swing trading, you'll be using higher time frame levels, aren't you? But for example's sake, when I spoke about this here, so when we rallied out of this consolidation here, formed that high. So this was the breakout play of this consolidation, and that high was used as a resistance level, right? resistance, deviation. Yes, I am from Birmingham. Birmingham. Resistance, back below it. Close above it. Okay? So, oops. So watch this here. So on a daily basis, you can then refine to a lower time frame as well. Or you can, if you're scalping, these are reaction levels. So if you look at if you look at these levels from last week, those were giving you reactions even for scalps. I mean, I haven't changed nothing, but look at the pinpoint reactions we're getting off of that same key level. So in this context, this gave me the breakout play here. It held, it pushed above. Does that make sense? So we got the daily close above. On the lower time frame, it's a range. Okay, so it becomes more clear in the lower time frame. But once with that daily close above, then you use them all together. Does that make sense? Okay. Yep. So study the exact levels of draw. Watch the reactions. So a scalper can say, well, I'll use it for, just price sensitivity. Okay, hits it, get a little scalp out of that little day trade. A swing trader is going to say, well, I've got that daily close above. That means we're ready to expand. Consolidation leads to expansion. That daily close gave me the green light that we're going to get a leg higher, which means you could day trade it as well, but that would mean swing trade. If we're stuck within a range, these levels are used to play up and down within the range until it doesn't work. Okay? So those are my plans. Okay, I mean, I'm not comfortable longing this here personally just yet because of my view on the dollar index and based on Bitcoin alone. Okay, if I'm looking at this leg, I think we're in for a deeper correction. Okay, we'll see here. Okay, I'm okay missing out on the low. I did take a small. I mean, I joke about on Twitter with certain levels, but if you see me, I mean, I'm happy to play scalps. Okay, but for me, ultimately, if we get back above here and hold, then I think at least towards here, in my opinion. Okay, here and then here. So I'm gonna in this environment, I'm gonna play level to level. If a trade does evolve into something big, then happy days. There's times where it's comfortable grabbing onto a swing long. So for example, say once we broke all-time high and I mapped out this level here, okay, it was just looking for an entry. But after a certain period when it's done, and that's why I said we can get a nuke at any moment now. Okay, it gets harder. I'm happy to long it till I'm wrong, but that point is gonna come. We're gonna get this. So these moves shouldn't be a surprise, especially if you plan for it. Plan for where you'd be invalidated. Then you're not panicking, are you? Okay, you're panicking in this drop here. But if you looked at last week's videos, what's it done? It's come back down to the support level, isn't it? Has anything changed from that? The same exact levels. Okay. Yo, stop the discussion, XRP man. Focus on this. Is that making sense so far? So the downside plays would be just flip off these levels again. So gotta be prepared for them. So let's mark this out. Let's start marking our levels for the downside. So if the ideal scenario I'm personally waiting for. Okay, if we do get it, I mean this would be perfect scenario. It doesn't have to fall that way, but what I'm looking for is okay. And we spoke about this before, but it's good to pull a reminder in just in case it happens. From there towards there, there's that key low. So you got that there. Okay, so what ideal scenario would be for where I would love to pull back in. If so, I spoke about a scenario where it's easy to hold a swing long. Okay, when it's done a big move like this, it's hard. A day trade could evolve, but you know that correction is imminent. Okay, so if it comes down to here, I'll be looking for, even if it deviates previous all-time high, that's fine. The deviation is better, gives me tighter invalidation. And if it reclaims, ideally what would be nice is if it comes into here and consolidates for a while. If it consolidates for a while, that probably give alts, a push up. They'll take over. So a big blow off top, consolidate for a couple of months. Okay, that would be the perfect scenario. Let alts do their thing, then send Bitcoin later on in the year, Q3, Q4. But yeah, ideally I would be positioning for this and playing there. At that point, we should have some sort of range built in, so that we can work with. And what I mean by that is, if we look, okay, here after the blow off top, okay, we formed a range. So I think similar behavior, and the reason why I say I look back at previous price action is that's because it looks like that, okay. And if it's looking like that, it's forming that kind of pattern, then I'm gonna use that. So for example's sake, in this instance, okay, In this instance, we hadn't broken all-time high. In this instance, we have broken all-time high. So I don't look at fractals on its own. It's got to be in context with what's going on, okay? Pattern on its own mean nothing. Pattern in the middle of nowhere is fuck all. Pattern at a key higher time level has a higher probability of working, okay? That's why I don't use patterns on its own. You gotta know when to use it and, you know, context behind it. So I personally think we saw some form some sort of range. I'm just looking at where the low is gonna be first, okay? So these are my two ranges I'm looking at right now. If this is my midpoint, okay, now that does not mean it's the midpoint. That it's my key level where the first half should be capped by. So there's two scenarios that can unfold. Recall what a trending market looks like. So let's go over the basic. Consolidation, a rally, consolidation, a rally, okay? In a more range-bound market or a deeper pullback, okay, or, you know, max pain, the people like to call it, would be consolidation, then this, then all the way back down to the point of consolidation, retest, SR, consolidation, whatever, okay, then do that. Is it going to do number one or is it going to do number two? I don't know, but I go with what the market is telling me. So we could get this scenario unfolding above here, okay? I'm not saying it's going to pull back, it doesn't have to, okay? But I'm prepared for it. You're going to plan ahead. If this happens, then I step in. Or if that happens, otherwise you're not taking by surprise. If you're not planning, then you ain't going to know what's fucking going on. You're going to be looking at Twitter, you're going to get hyped up, and you're just going to act like a pussy like everybody else, okay? Pure emotion, no thought process behind it, okay? No planning. There's no point in trading at that point, okay? So what does he do here now? So what we're looking for is I'm going to see if the floor is here, okay? So for now, this is a floor, okay? Floor. This is my area where I'm allowing wicks into, okay? They can wick into the mid-range. So if I wanted to punt along, I've got a clearing violation to work with, but for the reason I've given it, it's not. So one range is, let's map out this range. Let me look at what it looked like. So after that midpoint, I haven't even looked at this myself yet. So if I take that low point to that high point, here, the exact same thing, the midpoint of that, okay, is just so happens to line up with our pivotal level, right? So I've got a range to work with within here, and I've got a range to work in within here. Consolidation right at that midpoint, and this was the turning point. Hence why I'm looking for the breakout plays. So I'm more cautious for the reason I've given, okay? Any other market where I was convinced, I'd be long here right now. I'm more cautious when I'm entering trades after a certain point in time. Right now, I mean, I don't want to be on the wrong side of this in case it nukes. So if it gets back above here, we've got a lot of things lining up that this says to us the pivotal levels. Our target's going to be from there towards there, and then, like I said, towards here, and then there. These levels are where I'm looking for my entry triggers. Just like here, just like there. I'm looking for exact same thing here, and then there. Is that clear? So for now, that's all I've got to work with. I'm only going to point out what's clear to me right now. I'm not going to point out stuff that's not there. And then to the downside, we got to be prepared. Okay, we got to be prepared. Usually what happens is, if we look back historically, right, how does a top form? Usually we get some sort of a sharp reaction. So if we look, okay, I mean, these things are not uncommon. So when we're rallying here, okay, sharp pullback, everything's top, then boom, makes a new high. You usually get the sharp drops, okay? A couple of times it happens. Could it be the same here? I don't know. But I'm happy to play my little level-to-level plays. And if it does go my way and it evolves into swing, happy days. If it doesn't, I make something, okay? So, yep, hence why that's my level-to-level plays. And to the downside, okay, I don't want to short this. I mean, little scalps, okay? You can use these same levels I marked out. If you look at them, you could, if you're good enough. If you're not good enough, do not even attempt to scalp. But look at this. Takes out the stops. Deviation. Once it gets back below that level, shorting opportunity. Where does it go towards? Here. Okay. Sort of plays like that you can use. That same level. There's the deviation there. There. Okay. That's not something I would play personally. Okay, right now. But for scalpers out there that are really good and fine tune it, that's something there. So, for the downside, I think if it breaks below here, then it opens the doors towards this range there. Okay, so we'll be seeing now is make or break from here right now. I mean, if I was aggressive, I would have had a punt. Invalidation would be below here, but I'm not going to do that right now. But if it does get below here and breaks down, then I'll probably be looking for a shorts. What would be my short triggers at that point? Okay, yes, everybody please like the video. Get the YouTube algo going mad. Okay, so let's be prepared for that. Let's mark out our levels, and it's just going to be the same thing, rinse, repeat. Mark out this. Okay. Same levels used as SR before, will be used again. I'll do a neater one. I'll neaten this up for next time by just roughly drawing it. And that's more or less my range high. I'm going to go more conservative, okay? I'll mark out that. I'd rather go conservative. So now I've got my levels to work with, navigate within instead of holding from there towards there. I can use that as a day trading idea, or if I miss one entry, I can look for another. So ultimately, at that point, where do I believe target's going to be? If we get below here, and it's proven to have resistance, support, coupled with the fact that this is a massive level, look at the buying we had off here, well, it's going to be the inverse then, isn't it? And I'll be looking for short-term play from there, take out these lows. Now that could just nuke in one go, Bitcoin being Bitcoin. Ideally, if it does nuke, and then consolidates and slows down. An example of that is what happened earlier this year. That would be the ideal play, like this. It just nukes fast, and then we get a consolidation for a while. That would be the ideal play, okay? And that would then probably alts can take over. But again, those are just ideas that could have happened. They hold no value right now, okay? So probably not a good idea to talk about that. But if we do get a break below here, from there towards there, my level to level. And then if that breaks, same thing again. Each area there was a pivot, okay? From there towards there. Is that making sense? Is resistance becomes support on its way down. So let me break this down further then and say, okay, if that level is capping the market, that was a mid-range, can I mark this out further? If I take the low of this, let's see where that mid-range comes in to that high, since that's a pivotal level, and our mid-range comes in perfectly, I think this will be a key magnet for price. Just so happens the consolidation after we broke out of this, just so happened this led to that big burst up. Okay. So whichever scenario follows, the trigger plan is clear. Does that make sense? Is everybody clear with that? So is it clear exactly what I need to see for a trigger long and exactly what I need to see for shorts, but I would only be shorting below here. I'm not comfortable shorting above here personally, okay? Is that clear? Are there any questions? Why do I mark how many plans? But you have to mark how many plans. I don't know which one's gonna follow. I have a few plans. Whichever one gives me the trigger, I enter. I don't see what's so funny about that. You have to plan. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I'm prepared. This is my plan. If this happens, then I do this. Not guessing, oh, I'm taking a long here, that's it. Shut the fuck up. Okay, that's about it really. I mean, that's all I have to say. Spent a bit of time on the dollar index, but hopefully that's my thoughts on what I think about the markets, okay? Why I'm not comfortable lying here. I may regret it, but I don't care. I'm prepared to play the breakout play. If I don't get this, if I don't get my entry here, I know exactly what I need to see to play the trend continuation. Most of my plays are trend continuations. There's certain times where I feel comfortable picking a bottom. This is not one of those times, okay? I'm not comfortable with this. I think personally it goes lower, but what I think and what the market does are two different things. So regardless, so if I am feeling it's going to go lower, I wait for the conservative entry, which is the breakout plans above there, okay? And that's it. How many out of 100? Okay, that's about it. Okay, so like the video, subscribe, make sure follow PrimeXBT on Twitter. That's their handle. Also give the content tap a follow. So me, Trader Main, TraderXZ, we do videos and they're all usually posted on this Twitter feed. Bitcoin Jack as well. So all free videos. Follow them and you'll be kept up to date. So free educational content. Okay, what more can you ask for? I mean, Trader Main, he covers a lot as well. TraderXZ goes into a lot of alts. Bitcoin Jack has his own view, so different angles from the market, okay? Yep, that's about it. I'll catch you guys on Sunday. Take care, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out PrimeXBT, use the link in the description, and use the code TRADER1SZ. I'll catch you guys next week. Bye-bye.